They found their footprints in the mud, each one pressed deep, smeared red with something sticky and cold. At first, it looked like blood, but the smell was something older, fouler, the sour tang of half-chewed meat left out to decay. As they crept closer, an ugly moan rose from the underbrush, a wet, guttural sound that made their stomachs twist. They shone their flashlight on the swampy ground and gasped. A skeleton, its bones gouged and splintered, dripped dark ichor into the muck. Beneath it, pale limbs wriggled, half alive, half carrying thine veins, pulsing as maggots burrowed toward its beating heart. An arcing flash of lightning revealed a figure hunched over the corpse, its face a bloated mask of peeling flesh. The thing worked with frantic precision, tearing away strips of skin and rolling them like ribbons. With each pull, sinew snapped like wet rope, and the creature tasted the air, slurping the scent of fresh entrails. When it looked up, its eyes were nothing but black pits, and its grin stretched too wide, pink gums parting to show stained teeth dripping crimson. They tried to scream, but a searing pain bit into their throat. The world around them rippled, branches snapped like bones underfoot. They ran through the stench of rot, the moans chasing them in the darkness. Behind them, the creature's laughter echoed, a wet, rasping sound that promised no one would ever escape the feast awaiting in the shadows. The branches tangled like grasping fingers, tearing at their clothes and skin. The air grew colder, heavy, with a sickly, metallic tang that clung to their lungs. Their vision blurred as the darkness thickened, and every step through the squelching mud felt like sinking into some nightmarish maw. Behind them, the laughter grew louder, closer, its wet, gurgling sound twisting into a grotesque melody of hunger. Then, the whispers began, a chorus of dry, rasping voices crawling from every shadow. They spoke not in words, but in shivers, slipping under their skin, into their marrow. Stay, feast with us, join the flesh. A root caught their foot, and they fell hard into the muck. As they scrambled, desperate, their hands sank into something warm and slimy. They looked down and saw a face half rotted, yet its jaw moved, whispering the same words that filled the air. They staggered back, trembling, as the slick, decayed earth seemed to shift beneath them. The ground writhed, alive with pale, boneless forms sliding toward them, fingers tipped with jagged bone fragments scratching at their heels. From the shadowed tree line, the creature emerged again, its body twisting unnaturally, splitting open as though it was birthing itself anew. Through the gleaming strips of flesh, more black holes glared, more grins formed, countless faces pressed and writhing against the thin veil of its tearing skin. The stench of decay grew unbearable as the thing shuddered toward them, every step wet with the sound of flesh peeling and fluids dripping. They tried to crawl away, their limbs slipping and sinking into the muck, but the voices grew louder, more insistent, sinking deeper into their skull like a second pulse. You are ours now. Flesh becomes flesh. Rot becomes rebirth. Suddenly, their body froze, muscles locking against their will. Their breath hitched as the wet, boneless forms coiled around their legs, pulling them slowly but relentlessly toward the pulsating mass of the creature. Its many faces gaped eagerly, drooling streams of viscous black ichor. They wanted to scream, but their throat burned, silent, as though the whispers had stolen their voice. As the darkness closed in, as the slick tendrils of decay dragged them under, their vision swam, and they finally understood there was no escape. The whispers weren't calling to them, they were coming from them. Their own lips moved, trembling, as they joined the chorus. Stay, feast with us, join the flesh. The world around dissolved into a humid, suffocating black. The taste of soil and rot invaded their mouth, as if the earth itself welcomed them as part of its grotesque tapestry. Their hands clawed weakly at the mud, but it only pulled them deeper, encasing them in its corrupt embrace. The creature loomed above, its many faces contorting in mockery, whispering secrets that their mind could barely grasp. Their own voice joined the whispers louder. Now, no longer their own, as if some ancient, primal will had stolen it. Fingers, no longer entirely human, twitched, and their skin began to peel, sloughing off like wet paper. But beneath wasn't bone. Beneath was movement in writhing forms. Maggots, worms, and something darker. Something alive. Something eternal. Their minds screamed as the truth took hold. There was no them anymore, only the flesh. the rot, and the endless hunger. The creature kneeled, its malformed hand reaching out not to harm but to welcome. Its touch wasn't sharp but soothing, as if it were comforting a newborn. And then they understood the feast wasn't just of the flesh. It was everything they were, everything they would be, now binding them to the rotting earth and the whispers forevermore. Finally, they smiled back with a mouth full of ichor and countless voices spilling forth. They no longer ran. They had joined the flesh. The forest shifted, alive with their newfound whispers, carrying the scent of decay and the weight of countless lost souls. They moved now not as themselves but as part of the mass, their limbs no longer their own, their flesh a canvas for the hungry. Around them, the ground bubbled and writhed, birthing more of the endless, shuddering forms. The trees bowed low as if in reverence, their bark splitting to reveal wet, pulsing veins. The world pulsated with life, no human, not natural but something raw, primal, eternal. They opened their mouth again, black ichor dripping from their lips, and for the first time, it wasn't fear driving the sound. It was hunger, a call, an invitation. Far beyond the trees, faint footsteps echoed. Another lost wanderer, another soul stumbling toward their grasp. The feast would never end, it would only grow. And so, the cycle deepened. Through the web of roots and shadow, the whispers spread their promise, a sweet, cloying lullaby pulling wanderers deeper into the forest's rotting grasp. Above, the skies churned, darkened clouds like bruises, threatening to burst while the earth below convulsed with its secret life. The newest vessel, no longer bound by flesh, but consumed by it, moved with unsettling grace, luring, singing, twisting its form into something both familiar and horrifyingly alien. When the next wanderer, trembling but curious, crossed the threshold of the decaying woods, a gentle voice called out, soft, melodic, "Are you lost?" The figure appeared beneath the boughs, its silhouette human, its smile warm. But the air sickened, heavier with each step they took toward their supposed savior. By the time they noticed the black ichor dripping from the kind figure's fingers, it was too late. Roots slashed upwards, the earth exhaling a sour breath, and the feasting began anew. The forest sighed, content, as the newest screams melded into the eternal symphony of whispers. The whispers carried on, ceaseless and hungry, weaving between the gnarled trees, soaking into the very air. As the newest screams faded, the forest seemed to tremble with satisfaction, roots pulsing like veins beneath the damp earth. But in the distance, past the veil of rot and decay, a flicker of light appeared. It danced softly, almost mockingly, as if it had been watching all along. The black ichor-soaked figure turned toward it, its many faces twitching, new grins stretching impossibly wide. The light didn't belong, and yet it persisted, creeping closer. For the first time, the whispers faltered, a crackle of uncertainty weaving through their chorus. The forest stilled, hushed, as the figure reached toward the light and froze. The light burst forward, enveloping the twisted form, and for the briefest second, the shadows receded. The black ichor hissed and bubbled as the light carved through it, its countless faces screaming silently, their wide, grinning mouths twisting in agony. And then, as suddenly as it came, the light was gone. The trees seemed darker than before, the whispers louder, shriller. What was left in the aftermath was no longer light, but a figure person, or what once might have been. Their head hung low, their form shivering, drenched in glistening rot. When they raised their face, their human eyes met the countless empty. Whispers crawled from their mouth, faint and broken, as if trying to recall some long-forgotten word. Their human eyes burned against the endless abyss of grins and decay. Surrounding them, a single drop of something uncorrupted amidst the festering sea. The ichor beneath them trembled, the forest groaning in response, as though rejecting this imperfect resurrection. But then, they smiled, a slow, eerie curve, born from something deeper than joy, something far worse. The whispers joining the chorus spoke a new word, unrecognizable yet understood. And the forest shuddered, awakening anew. The forest seemed to breathe in unison, a shuddering inhale that carried the weight of countless lives devoured by rot. The figure stood still, their fractured smile widening into something unnatural, something that should not belong to a human face. Their eyes, once a beacon of resistance, now glimmered faintly, a sickly yellow that pulsed like flesh turning to infection. The whispers grew louder, swelling in harmony with the writhing ichor beneath their feet. It climbed their legs like greedy fingers, caressing, swallowing, reshaping. A low laugh gurgled from their throat, broken, echoing voices that had once haunted them. It wasn't pain or fear, but understanding. Their body jerked as their flesh bubbled, splitting to reveal patches of ebony bone glinting with an infernal pulse.